Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing today? Like usual, I'm your host, Richie T, also known as Richard T, coming at you live on a Thursday again. Normal day, normal time. How's everybody doing? I'm doing alright. Still a little under the weather from Monday. Just can't seem to beat this cough. But, I'm still going to be here for you guys. I'm going to truck through this, and today I got something pretty special for you. I'm going to stream the deck that I'm probably the most known for, and that really a lot of people in my area know me for playing, which is Tron. Now, I've played just about every variant of Tron throughout my years of playing the deck. I've been on the deck for, probably over like 5 years now. And no matter what, I always pick this deck up. I always put it back down. But something always brings me back to Tron. Maybe it's the deck's power level. Maybe it's just, how much I enjoy this deck. I'm not really sure what it is, but I always seem to come back to Tron, and I haven't streamed it for you guys yet. And I thought considering how well it did this weekend and the fact that I'm probably going to be taking a look back at Tron for tournaments in the foreseeable future, I decided I'd stream it for you guys today. So for everyone that doesn't know what Tron is or why the deck's called Tron, it's called Tron because once you assemble Urza's Tower, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Mine, you say Tron's online. So that makes Urza's Tower make 3 mana, Power Plant and Mine make 2 mana each. So once that happens, you have 7 mana on turn 3, which, as you'll see as we get through the deck tech, can do a lot of powerful things. On top of those lands, we have a couple extra forests. We have a couple forests for being able to, fetch up through like paths, Field of Ruins. How's it going, Nate? Glad to see you make it. And then for a couple of flexible lands, we have a Sanctum of Ugin, so that way we can go and get another payoff once we cast our first. A Blast Zone for against some troublesome matchups with a lot of low CMCs. And then an Urza's Factory. A lot of lists play Ghost Quarter, which I am a huge advocate for Ghost Quarter and Tron. But the reason I like Ghost Quarter and Tron so much is you combine it with Surgical, and it's a way to sneak out the mirror match. Well, when you don't have Surgical, just Ghost Quartering your opponent most of the time won't actually take them off Tron enough to where you get ahead, because you Ghost Quarter them, they get their forest, they Sylvan Scrying, play that Tron piece, and then have Tron the turn after, where you're still down a land, so you'd only have 1 Tron piece probably. Tron is a reference to Voltron, the pieces assembled to become stronger than the sum of their parts. Interesting. I always thought it was like a reference to the movie Tron, how everything's like all future tech and kind of ahead of its time. So you play bigger things ahead of the curve. That's what I always thought it meant. But I can see that reference as Voltron. But, so because the graveyard decks are so potent right now, I actually don't think we can afford to play Surgical on our sideboard. Although I think we might be able to. It's something I'd have to test. I have a couple flexible slots in my sideboard, but for now we're going to go no Surgicals, and because of that, instead of playing the Ghost Quarter, I'm going to play a land I've always been a fan of, which is Urza's Factory. So now, this land probably seems really odd. Why would you want to, even with Tron, why would you want to spend a whole turn just to make a 2/2? Well, the point is when you don't have a lot of gas, or against, more controlling decks, making a 2/2 every turn will win you the game very quickly. So now you're probably asking, alright, so you need to get 3 of these lands, 1 of each of these lands. How do you do that consistently? Well, the first way that we can do this consistently is through cantrips, such as Chromatic Sphere, Chromatic Star, which are pretty much the same card, but they do something slightly different. Sphere is the mana ability itself that lets you draw a card, so you can actually get around things like Lantern Control, to where Chromatic Star, if someone blows it up, you still get to draw a card. So it doesn't feel as bad if someone, abrades your Chromatic Star. And then our last quote-unquote cantrip in the deck is Relic of Progenitus. Now, I normally played 2, but again, the graveyard decks are very high. Hold on one second. Throughout the stream, if I like pause the audio, it's probably just because I'm coughing. Again, sorry about that. Still a little under the weather, like I said at the beginning. Nate, I play Field of Ruin over Quarter for the exact reason you explained. So, the big thing with that is the forest is nice, but it doesn't help you get Tron faster still. It just doesn't put you down that land drop. I do like it a lot more in Blue Tron, where Tron doesn't matter as much, but in this deck I'm not a big fan of Field of Ruin, or even in Eldrazi Tron for that matter. I just found I'd rather have the Ghost Quarter because Field of Ruin can also be too slow on the draw. But back to Relic. So I've always played 2, but recently a lot of lists have been going up to a 3rd, and I want to try it out just because of how potent the graveyard decks are right now. I can definitely see it being correct to have 3 relics in your deck, as opposed to this normally being just like a Miser Dismember. So, besides for just drawing extra cards, the way we get Tron consistently is we have tutor effects or pseudo-tutor effects that can help us complete Tron. We have Expedition Map, which is the best one because it comes down for 1 mana and searches up any land. Sylvan Scrying does the same thing as Map, but it technically costs 1 less mana. Map costs 3 total, but you can play it on turn 1. But Sylvan Scrying requires a green, so they both have their like in and outs. And then Ancient Stirrings, while it doesn't actually tutor your deck, looking at 5 cards is a lot, and you'll typically be able to find what you want, whether it be a Tron land, or whether you need a threat, or maybe you need like a relic for some graveyard hate. The other powerful thing Tron plays is a lot of board wipes. So the board wipes you play in your primarily colorless deck are, currently we're on 3 Oblivion Stone, which some lists are on 4, but I really like the PT list where it's split with an All Is Dust, just because Humans is picking back up again. If Humans isn't that prevalent, I can definitely see just playing with the 4 O-Stones. But O-Stone comes down for 3 mana. For 4 mana, you can tap it and put a fate counter on target permanent. And then for 5 mana, you can tap it, sack it, and destroy each non-land permanent without a fate counter. Then you remove all fate counters. So Oblivion Stone gets rid of every troublesome permanent you can think of, even other colorless ones, which that's kind of where the downside of All Is Dust is. All Is Dust is only 7 mana to where O-Stone is 8, but it's each player sacrifices colored permanents that they control. So against like Affinity or even the Mirror Match or Eldrazi Tron, All Is Dust is not that good, to where O-Stone is still pretty fine. But again, because of Humans, I'm fine doing the 1 split. It's something I've done in the past. And Sacrifice can also be relevant against a deck like Bogles. So you're probably wondering now, how do we win the game? Well, we win the game by playing a bunch of over-the-top threats. The first and most known is Karn Liberated. It's arguably the best play you can make on turn 3 in this deck. It uses all of Tron. It exiles any permanent you need. It can start attacking your opponent's hand. And when you plus it up to 10, it's really hard for it to die in 1 turn. The other big threat, which typically the deck's only on 3, but recently has gone back up to 4, which I really like because I think Wormcoil Engine in a lot of Tron's bad matchups is actually the better threat than Karn Liberated on turn 3. The main reason is the fact that it has lifelink. So against your aggressive decks, Wormcoil comes down and makes it hard for them to attack. When you attack, you're going to get a huge life point swing, even if they block, because most decks won't have enough to block this. And against the removal heavy decks, if they use a removal spell on it, that's fine, because you get 2 bodies. 1/3/3 with lifelink and 1/3/3 with Death Touch. So it basically replaces itself. Yeah, Karn is a very hated card among a lot of people. The other threats we have in our deck are, we have 2 Walking Ballistas for against like the aggro decks or matchups where we just want basically like a small removal spell. I've cast this card a lot as just like I always call it the colorless Doomblade, because it always kills 1 toughness creatures on 2 a lot of the time. But it's also just like a good payoff that you can dump a lot of mana into and needs an answer. We have 2 Ugin the Spirit Dragons. Probably my favorite card in the deck. When Ugin got spoiled, I actually thought this card was going to be great for Tron. But a lot of people told me that I was crazy, that 8 mana just isn't where you wanted to be. But as it turned out, Ugin's effect is just so powerful that it is correct for Tron. And you see it very commonly as the 2 of. So it's minus X is basically a board wipe, like All Is Dust. Its plus is Lightning Bolt, which can kill things or pressure your opponent. And its ultimate basically wins you the game. It's the anti-Nico Bolas ultimate. You gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, and can put 7 permanents onto the battlefield. So, on top of that, we have 2 cards that go even above any of those. We have an Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, which you'll see in a lot of lists as a 1/2 of. Ulamog, when he comes down, he exiles 2 permanents, which is huge, especially that it's not destroy. And if he sticks on the battlefield, he kills your opponent very quickly. 1, because he's a 10/10 indestructible, but also because every time he attacks, the defending player exiles the top 20 of their library. Now, while most people play 1 Ulamog or 2 Ulamogs in the main, I actually choose to go on a split of Ulamog and Emrakul the Promised End. The reason is Emrakul is good in a lot of situations that Ulamog isn't, and this card's typically in the sideboard, so it does give us an extra sideboard space. So Emrakul the Promised End is 13 mana for a 13/13, but it costs 1 less for each type of card in your graveyard. So say we get an artifact and a sorcery. Those are the pretty common ones in our deck, for sure. Emrakul costs 11 mana, which can come down pretty close to the same amount of time as Ulamog. But if we get anything else, Emrakul can come down pretty cheap. I've cast 8 mana Emrakuls in Modern, and it always feels great. What this card does is when you cast it, you gain control of your opponent's next turn, and then after that they take an extra turn. But Emrakul is also a 13/13 flying trample protection from instants. So she ends the game really quickly while also letting you just mess up your opponent. So she's very good in like those interactive or combo matchups where Ulamog tends to not be as great. So that's the main deck. Now let's move on to the sideboard. The sideboard is a lot of cards that I know I like, and then something I have to try just because of the meta. I've never actually played Leyline of the Void in a Tron sideboard, but every list is on 4 Leylines now, and I think that it's probably correct. It's also the reason you don't see this deck playing Karn the Great Creator anymore. Karn the Great Creator is very powerful, but when your sideboard slots get too tight, sometimes you just have to cut it. And having to play 4 Leyline of the Voids really does tighten up your sideboard. But that does let us play a lot of other things because we don't have to have as deep of a wish board. Like, we have 3 Nature's Claims, and I have an extra Seal of Primordium for Artifact and Enchantment Hate. It also gets around Chalice of the Void, which is a small thing I've always hedged. A lot of lists you'll see normally have like a Veil of Summer or some extra Veil of Summers in this slot. I'm just not 100% sold on Veil of Summer. I was going to try one, but I'm always paranoid about Chalice of the Void. So I just put the Seal of Primordium in instead. We have 2 Warping Whales where a lot of sideboards have 1 in a Spatial Contortion. I hate the card Spatial Contortion. +3, -3 has never felt good to me. If your opponent ever grows their creature in response, it is the worst feeling ever. And Warping Whale just always felt more flexible to me. Being able to exile a creature with power toughness 1 or less kills things like Thing in the Ice. It gets rid of things like Monastery Swift Spear, and it also exiles cards like Bloodghast, which is really relevant that it exiles. Countering a sorcery is also big against decks like Storm when they go for their Past in Flames, or Scapeshift trying to, scapeshift you. And it's also pretty techy in the mirror for being able to counter Sylvan Scryings or Ancient Stirrings. On top of that, for some extra threats, I have 2 Thought-Knot Seers. This has been falling out of favor a lot, but usually you'll see the Emrakul, the Promised End in the sideboard, and you'll see some Dismembers. I'm not really set on Dismember. I think I'd rather play more Warping Whales if I'm going to play an effect like that. And I don't really know that I want the 3rd Warping Whale. So for right now, we're going to put the 2 Thought-Knots back in the board and see how they feel in the current meta. And then 3 Thragtusks. This used to be a 2-of for a while, but eventually someone went up to a 3rd, and Tron players haven't looked back. This card is just so good in your bad matchups. Gaining 5 life, being a 5/3, and also just giving you another body when it leaves the battlefield is great. So, alright, I have talked a lot about Tron right now. Probably more than most people would think you could. So, I had to take a drink of water, sorry. Yeah, so Worldbreaker is really good when you need to grind in the format, and is also not that great against Path to Exile. So he's been cut for a little bit now. I can see a world where he comes back if like Affinity picks up where the reach is relevant, or if there's a meta where Path to Exile isn't the biggest played removal spell in control decks. So, before we get to games though, as always, we gotta hop over and shout out our sponsor, momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com. They're the best place you can go if you want to shop for any Magic cards, especially if you're looking for anything from Tron, or if maybe you're looking to buy your Hogaaks for Hogak, your Feathers for the sweet Heroic deck I've played in Standard before, Lanoros for the Ramp deck I've also played, or Ops if you want to play Control like I was trying a couple weeks ago. Now, if you're watching in the future on YouTube, thank you. Check down in that description box below for all the links that I'm going to talk about, but try to check us out on Twitch sometimes. We would super appreciate it. Now, for all of you watching on Facebook, on YouTube in the future, or on Twitch right now, thank you. But please try to give us a like on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at MomsBasementMTG. On top of that, all you guys watching on Twitch right now, try to hop over to our YouTube page where you can find the best Standard, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, and Pauper content. On top of that, I would super appreciate it if you gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @RichardTMTG. I talk Magic, League of Legends, TFT, memes, anything else you want to talk about, feel free to hit me up. You can also find some hilarious pictures I take with friends. Sorry again, guys. This cough is awful. On top of that, if you want to follow us on other forms of social media, you can find Mom's Basement Games on Instagram at Mom's Basement Games. And you can find me at Instagram at RichieT2196. Alright, but the coughing and talking has made my voice hurt a little bit. So how about instead we just get to some Magic action. We try to sling some Tron at some people. So, how's everybody doing? What's everybody's plans for Friday and the weekend? I'm going to definitely be at FNM, and I'm going to an IQ in Frogtown on Saturday. Will I see any of you guys there? If not, what are you guys going to be doing this weekend? Alright, we won the die roll. As always, we want to hit our opponent with the GLHF. Ban Urza's Tower. I don't think so. I think this deck is very fine for Modern. So, this is a turn 4 Tron with Ballista. We do have London Mulligan. So, I'm normally tempted to mulligan hands like this, especially on the play. What do you guys think? Do we ship this one back, or do you think this is a keeper? We do have Stirrings on turn 1. Alright, we can keep it and try. I can definitely see this hand being a mulligan, especially when our opponent's name is Spike You. So I assume we're facing Burn. Alrighty, so we're going to lead on an Ancient Stirrings. And we find the third Tron piece, but that's actually not what we're interested here because of the Sylvan Scrying. So I think instead, because of our opponent's name, I could see taking Wormcoil, Ugin, or Karn. I think we're just going to go ahead and grab the Wormcoil. Again, this is just us trying to use some information we have to our advantage. Yep, and our opponent lives up to their name. So we take the 1 here. Ooh, another worm coil engine. Not bad. Alright. So here we're going to Sylvan Scryings, and we're going to go ahead and grab our Urza's Mine. And then pass it back to our opponent. This hand might be a little slow against Burn, that's for sure. Or Mono Red Phoenix, whichever deck our opponent turns out to be. Okay, definitely Mono Red Phoenix. Thragtusk is going to be a big help in the sideboard, that's for sure. Could be the Prowess deck instead of Phoenix, but definitely some form of Mono Red. Alright, Ancient Stirrings isn't bad. So we're going to go ahead and stir it up here. And I think we'll just grab in... So our play next turn is pretty set. I think... we're going to just go ahead and grab the Ugin just in case. Because I actually want to play Ballista this turn. So that way I have a nice early blocker. Because we just really need to live the next turn. We need to not die. And we'll ship it back to our opponent. Depending on how much damage our opponent does, we can always Ugin next turn too. Okay, so Crash Through indicates that they're just playing the Prowess deck. They're not playing the Phoenixes. Which is actually the build I prefer of this deck. Huh. Faithless Looting throws that guess off a little bit. Okay. Yep, they're just playing the Prowess list. So we're going to go ahead and block. And I'm actually not going to sack because they have Trample, and again, I want to gain the life. So from 8, it's going to be pretty unlikely that they can burn us out. So I think I just want to stick this Worm Coil Engine here. And then play our map and pass. So if they have triple bolt here, they have it. Not much we can do. Yeah, it looks like we're just going to get bolted out, unfortunately. Which was kind of the scare of a hand like this. Yep. That's lethal. That's why I really don't like keeping 7s, especially 7s that don't complete Tron on turn 3. I feel like you're typically going to just get ran over. So in this matchup, I don't like either of these top ends. I normally trim pretty low on a lot of the bigger end cards. Because the way we win this game is by, really by having a lot of smaller interaction. But I actually haven't played it with the ley lines in the sideboard, so it's going to be interesting. I like Nature's Claim as a small amount of life gain. They don't play Eidolon, so I really don't like the seal that much. And for the last 5 cuts. Normally, Ugin's pretty easy to come out in this matchup, but I actually like Ugin against this because they're way more creature dependent. So I think I'd rather just cut all these Karns. And then for our last cut, I normally like trimming a star or a sphere in a lot of these matchups. But I could see just wanting them because we're smaller. No, because they just burned me out. So I don't think Ugin minus would have done anything. What do you guys think for the last cut? Do you think it's an O-Stone, an Ugin, or a Sphere? I think it's one of these three cards are the last cut. I think I'm leaning towards probably the O-Stone. But it can be played early, so maybe the Ugin. But the Ugin alt does come up sometimes. Yeah. I don't really like trimming a sphere and or star in this matchup. Sometimes I trim 2 when I have more sideboard cards for it. Alright, yeah, we're going to try this. I would like to be on the play. So this hand has turn 3 Tron into Thought-Knot-Seer, which will hopefully be good enough. If not, well, I don't really think we can mulligan. Yeah, I only trimmed 1. I trimmed the relics, though, because I'm not a big relic fan. Maybe Relic's okay in this matchup, actually, because of Faithless Looting and Lava Dart. Discarding Crash Through Mountain. That's a really good sign for us that was their turn 1. Alright, we, like the true professional that I am, we just drew into Tron. So that means that this expedition map can either get us a forest, or it can get us a blast zone. I think it's going to get us a forest, because if we top deck like an Ancient Stirrings or Sylvan Scryings, I would really like to be able to cast my spells. Our opponent's getting a little weird over there too, chat. Well, that's rude. Okay, so scratch all that. We're going to just get this blast zone. Yeah, if it wasn't for the Alpine Moon, I totally would have grabbed colored mana. But the blast zone's going to be a clean answer here. Thragtusk is kind of an unfortunate draw considering we didn't go and grab our lands, but it'd be like that. We are still at 20 going into our opponent's turn 3, so that's always a good sign. Okay. Do they flash it back is the question. What do they light up into? Mountain Bedlam Reveler. That is really good for them. They named Power Plant. So, small thing on my end, I did, like, I thought about it, but I didn't end up doing it for some reason. It doesn't really matter what one they name. I definitely should have played this O-Stone out last turn. I don't really know why I didn't do it, to be honest. I just didn't do it. I thought about doing it. Alright, if they want to go ahead and play 1-drops after this, that's fine. We have plays following this if they play another Alpine Moon, but I don't really want to take 1 damage for no reason. Interesting. They played the Bedlam Reveler from hand. I guess it lets them play both of them, sure. Seemed like a pretty big waste of card advantage there, though. Okay. So I think what we're going to do here is we're definitely just going to O-Stone and blow it up to get rid of these 2 Bedlam Revelers. It does cut off Tron. Because the land type is actually Urza's Tower, and that's what it refers to. It doesn't actually refer to the land name anymore. I actually made that mistake for like a long time when playing the deck. I thought the same thing. I thought Alpine Moon didn't do anything. So I'm going to declare no blocks. And then we're going to light the world up. Except I'm going to not pay a bunch of extra mana for no reason. So we'll get rid of those 2 Bedlam Revelers. And then next turn we can make our opponent Thought Knot. This indicates that they have another light up the stage in hand for sure. Yep. They hit Shenanigans, Swift Spear. Well, the Shenanigans isn't going to do a lot. And we have a good blocker for the Swift Spear, so pretty good for us. Interesting. I wonder why they'd crack that there. Really wishing we had that green land right now. But, again, I think we had to get that. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's good for us. They'll probably just flashback eluding here unless they drew something good. Yeah. Discard 2 mountains for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think green mana would be good right now, but the Blast Zone was needed. Like, we're going to start making 2/2s now, and that should buy us plenty of time. Awkwardly enough, they discarded this Lava Dart, so I think we have to take this hit. I don't think we can just, like, trade our Thought Knot Seer with this. Okay, there we go. So now we play this. We filter this into green mana. We then Sylvan Scryings for a forest. And we get him with the Swag Dadderson. Alright, and we got that game. Alright, do we want to change anything for game 3? I talked about these relics, and I could potentially see wanting them. What do you guys think? Do you like Ugin or the relics more? Or even potentially the relics over something like an Oblivion Stone or some number. Although I do like O Stone a lot because of Bedlam Reveler. You like Ugin? So you guys think we just run it back then? Yeah, and I mean, that's just something that happens with Tron sometimes. Sometimes you just get a bunch of green cards in hand and can't cast them. Especially post-sideboard. Alright, we're just going to run it back. Our opponent is on the play now, which is kind of scary for us. This is an easy mulligan. This hand doesn't do anything. Alright, well, this hand has Natty Tron into Thragtusk against the aggressive deck. So, I'm in. And we can put probably the Sylvan Scryings on bottom. Yeah, I think Scryings is the worst card here. Yeah, I mean, this is the power of the London Mulligan, if we're being honest. Okay. Kind of unfortunate that we didn't put the sphere on bottom, but, you know, we're chilling. Loot away, opponent. I think this is one of the tougher matchups for Tron, though, for sure. Okay. That's pretty good for us. It means they probably don't have a lot going on. Okay. So we're going to play mine. And I think we're going to filter one of these because if we draw a Warping Whale, I would love to cast it. So this does mean we can't Thragtusk next turn, but I think that's fine. Based off our opponent's play, I think Thought-Knot Seer with Chromatic Sphere will be fine for next turn. Then we can follow it up with a Thragtusk or an Ugin the turn after. Our opponent's getting lit. Oof. Hopefully they light up the stage instead of Alpine Moon. Dang it. Okay, so this is pretty unfortunate for us. This is going to buy our opponent a lot of extra time. Alright. So we're going to play Chromatic Sphere and then Walking Ballista. We're going to choose to not crack the Sphere because if we draw Nature's Claim next turn, we're going to just use it. But we're probably definitely cracking the Sphere next turn to try to hit a land. I'm going to snap off the block here because then they don't get to light up the stage. Or if they end up lighting up the stage, they have to use mana for it. We have plenty of things planned with our hand. We don't plan on taking the time to pump Ballista. Claim would be great here. Even a land is fine. Like, we can just naturally play out our hand for the most part. Bedlam Reveler, Mountain into Soul Scar. Okay, that's pretty unfortunate. So we're going to tap one of these and filter it into a green. Alright, we drew a land, which is fine. We get to Thought Knot them. Soulscar Bedlam Reveler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you guys think? Do we take the Bedlam Reveler or the Soulscar Mage here? Wormcoil does help us curve out more still, if we just keep drawing lands. You think we take Reveler? I think so too. Just leave him with a Soulscar in hand. Currently, they don't really have any good attacks. Outside of them drawing like a good spell or something. Alright, Manamorphose is... It's fine for them. It's a redraw. Okay. Alright, that's a good sign for us. Who knows what that can be? Oh, yeah. Well, that stinks. Oh well, we have a play for next turn, so we'll just ship it back to them. Again, we're not the aggressor here. It might be a land that they're holding, or it could have been like this Faithless Looting. There's a lot of things that that card could have been. We're just really hoping that they don't find a Lightning Bolt anytime soon. Bolt would be pretty unfortunate for us. Alright, doesn't look like they hit it. Why would they have looted? They had no cards in hand, right? No, I don't think I knew the card in their hand. What do you guys think? Do we put another 4/4 into play, or do we just set up for a next turn to be able to Thrag Tusk? No, they played Soul... Oh, yeah, I'm saying that they could have had looting or shenanigans land in hand. Do you think we map here to try to get a land next turn? I don't know. I can see both. Actually, we're for sure doing this because we can go and get Blast Zone. Boink. Then we can make our opponent's board go bye-bye. Or we could Thrag Tusk. And if we draw a land, we can just Wormcoil. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and block. Because if my opponent has the Bolt, that's fine. If not, yeah, we just ate a creature there. Okay, that makes a lot of sense why our opponent did what they did then. If they was light up the stage. Oof. They hit land off light up the stage. And they just concede even, wow. So our opponent got pretty unlucky there, but I think our hand lined up really well as well. As you can see, like, boarding down and just trying to become a more lower to the ground deck is really the way to win that type of matchup. Why couldn't we Thragtusk? Do you mean, like, we can't Thragtusk because they conceded, or we couldn't have Thragtusked on the board? Because we could have Thragtusked on the board because our land made green mana because of Alpine Moon. It's always a good start to a league when you beat a super aggressive deck with Tron. Normally those are the decks that Tron has a harder time with. But the extra Thragtusk, and as you've seen, those matchups are the reason why I really like Thought-Knot Seers in the sideboard. They're obviously good against combo, but they're just great in those situations as well. Alright, now we're facing Yamakilla. And we're not playing Hearthstone, so we're not going to keep. No, you're all good. I was just trying to figure it out. Alright. What did our opponent choose to do? They kept, it looks like. We're going to definitely mulligan. And this hand is turn 3 Karn, so we're going to keep. So we need this to play this to play this. And I think I'd rather have the Forest in hand than the Ancient Stirrings. So we'll put the Stirrings at the bottom. Ooh, looks like our opponent might be a control deck. Urza's Mine, Chromatic Star, go. Hey, play the star. Thought our opponent might have been thinking about forcing that, and I would have been A-okay. Ooh, they're playing Snow Covereds. Alright. First hand was a snap keep. We're not trying to play Magic. You're right. And let's scry on them Sylvans. Ooh, our opponent forces pitching Supreme Verdict. Well, luckily we drew this Expedition map. And yeah, that slows us down a little bit, but that's okay. This matchup, we have a lot of time. This matchup is also the reason why having whatchamacallit's really good in your deck. Why having Urza's Factory in your deck is really good. Logic Knot for 3. Sure. I will not pay. But what if I cast this Sylvan Scrying, opponent, and grabbed an Urza's Tower, and then passed the turn? How would that make you feel? Maybe they're playing on Thin Ice, but I'd be pretty surprised. It's not a very common card right now. I think it's probably worse than just playing like Oust or something. But I could be wrong on that. It's just like tap out for Jace. Sure. We just get to slam a Karn this turn, get rid of their Jace. Feel pretty ahead. Karn, Karn, Karn. I am Karn. And you are no longer Jace. Ooh. Oh. Our opponent didn't... I was actually going to grab the factory too, but our opponent didn't let us. Alright, so on to game 2 against blue-white control. Normally there's like a Crucible in my sideboard, which I find really good in these style of matchups, but unfortunately we don't have that. But we'll make it work. So in this matchup, we don't really want All Is Dust. Well, we might actually. We don't want Leyline of the Void. I like Thought Not Seer. Really don't like Warping Wail that much. And I know some people like to leave in Artifact and Enchantment Hate in case of like Stony Silence. I'm personally one of those people that like to, if I see it game 2, I'll bring it in. But otherwise, I like to just kind of try to goldfish my opponent. Not big on relics. I think we can trim relics. And then this is a slower matchup, so I even can just see like trimming a sphere and a star. But I can also see leaving in the star and taking out like an O stone. We still have 3 board wipes left in our deck. We have a lot of payoffs here. How do you guys feel about this? I've always been like, I know Wormcoil's not great in this matchup, but I've never really liked boarding it out just because it is a threat. That's always been my philosophy on this. I just always do one of each in case they like surgical it or something. I mean, it's pretty minute that it's going to matter in this matchup anyways. Trying to think about anything else we might want to consider. I think this is pretty where we want to be at. Again, I don't have like, I could see maybe wanting some relics because of like Snapcaster Mage. I mean, what do you think we should take out for Nature's Claims then? Detention Sphere is like a 1 of in their deck now, though. Detention Sphere is pretty low. I think the Snowlands are for flavor. I would not expect Anthenites. I think we're gonna just try it like this, and like I said, if they have that stuff, okay. Typically, it's not enough to beat us anyways, and we have a game 3 if I really need to bring those effects in. However, we can definitely not keep this hand. Our opponent mulliganed, and so will we. I think this is just a pretty easy mulligan to 5. What do you think? Do we keep this or do we go to 3? Not sure a 3 that looks better, especially against control. Or it'd be a mulligan to 4, I'm sorry. So on 5 we'd keep 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think it's pretty free to try to mulligan one more time. Yikes. Alright, Nate, you were right. We should have kept. Mulligan to 3. And we're going to keep this because we're not going to 2. I think we're going to keep just lands and X map. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, but, I mean, that's what Tron does sometimes. Sometimes you just mulligan a lot. Especially with the London mulligan. I wouldn't say GG. I don't think this game's over by any means. Okay. So we're going to just play Blast Zone and pass. I'm not going to crack this map right now. Like, control doesn't really clock us, and like, we're not that far off. We're a Tron piece away, or even a green source away. Like, I agree, we're probably not favored here, but like, I've seen Tron do dumber things, honestly. That does not matter for us right now. Our opponent's trying to decide if they want to minus the Narset. I think it's a pretty free minus, in my opinion. They grab a path. Okay. I really don't want to miss a land drop. I'm not sure. I think we crack the map and get a forest here, because we have the Sylvan Scryings. I think there was even merit to just, like, because our opponent tapped out for Narset, I could have even seen merit to cracking it end of my opponent's turn. Alright. Because if we crack it end of my opponent's turn, then we would have gotten to Sylvan Scryings. Although we don't really know what we're Scryings for yet. We're going to go ahead and grab the mine. Play it and ship it back to our opponent. So we know they have Cryptic Path. They just choose the Field of Ruin us, which is fine. I think like we're definitely playing Oathstone, but like we're not under any clock or pressure. Especially now that they tapped out of Cryptic command range. Like, sure, they're, like, super valuing with Jace, but that's fine. Hopefully they fire this other Field of Ruin off. Okay. It's fair that they don't, but if they did, like, that would put us in such a good position. Same with if this sticks, like, we're just ahead. I mean, sure. If they play a land and attack with Colonnade, I'll probably just concede. I mean, Jace is a clock when they're plussing him. They're yet to plus him this, like, whole game. Like, brainstorming isn't going to win him the game. Eventually, if they start attacking with Colonnade, it will, but right now, this Jace isn't... It's not threatening us at all. I'm going to on F6 in case this is a Vendilion click. If they click, I want to just concede, even though nothing in my hand is, like, unique. Okay. Alright. Now we're dead. Teferi actually wins the game before we can do anything. So on the play for game 3 against blue-white. I'm really missing the Crucible on the sideboard right now. And I almost wonder if this Seal of Primordium should just be the Crucible still. Because the Crucible was always good. And then that would give me reasoning. I know the Factory like seems like it's... Like the Factory is decent. But if I put the Crucible back in, I can definitely see playing a Ghost Quarter. So what do you guys think? Do we change anything up for game 3? I'm kind of down for just trying this again and hoping we don't like mulligan to 3. I think it was fair to mulligan though. I don't know. What's everyone's thoughts on the 60? I think I like it, but I could be talked out of some cards. I could see maybe having the O-Stone instead of the All's Dust, because it comes down earlier, but it doesn't pop as fast. I could be talked into maybe playing some number of relics or the 4th O-Stone. I do like that All Is Dust actually gets around like Stony if they do have it. But I'm not really super worried about a Stony Silence. If they have it, they have it, I guess. We have a Blast Zone too that can get rid of it. Plus we're on the play, so they can't actually stop our maps with it. Alright, I think we're just going to submit back again. I would love to play first. And this hand has Natural Tron, so we're going to go ahead and keep. We do need to draw a payoff to play on the turn, but we have Stars and Spheres, so we can actually just play a Thragtusk. Our opponent has mulligan to 5. Our opponent has mulligan to 4. They're either really digging for something or their hands have just not lined up well. So we're going to go Power Plant, Expedition Map, go. Plains pass from our opponent. We're going to go Urza's Tower, go. Factory, actually a pretty good draw there. So our opponent doesn't have counter magic up, so we're free to play whatever we want. And we're just going to grab a mine here. So we're going to play mine, play the star, filter it into green. So we can Thragtusk Chromatic Star. And then pass it to our opponent. I mean, we're definitely not going to have Tron after this turn, but that'll be pretty good. And ship it to our opponent. Hopefully they hit our tower. Notably, like, funny thing, obviously they're going to get punished here because we have another tower, but you're actually not supposed to hit the tower in Tron because you want them to use the tower to try to find Tron. Well, that sucks. So that's probably what they were mulliganing to, which is fine. I mean, they have 3 cards in hand. Sure, we don't have Tron, but we have a 5/3 already. Like, they're just so behind us at this point. I'm curious as to what piece they mulligan to exactly of that. Funny, I think that they were trying to find Force of Negation there. What did they do with the op, by the way? They put their card on top. For... We're going to go ahead and grab a Blast Zone here, I think. Go to combat. This might be like a cryptic here. Yeah, for sure, cryptic. Tap, draw. Yep. 4, 5. So if we filter... I actually just want to pass. I think I'm just going to tick up the blast zone twice. I know, the game's broken. How come I'm not making... How come my lands are tapping for more mana? Tick up blast zone a little bit. Ooh. Player land for turn and then try to go to combat. Path the Beast. You got it. I would love to use Path to Exile's ability. Now I would love to get a 3/3. Then I would love to cast a Wormcoil Engine. Okay. So they did not have the counter spell. Could be a Jace to bounce our beast, maybe. Yep. Choose the Brainstorm. So I'm going to filter right now. Because if we draw a land, we can kill them. Artifact land, so 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Dang, not enough. Here we're going to try to play our O-Stone. It resolves. And unfortunately, I think we have to play around Path now and attack Jace with both. But if I attack them, they Path the Beast. Actually, I think I like this more. So it lets them keep their Jace potentially, but if they don't have it, which they didn't, we just put them down 6 life. Yeah, it's probably a Moto bug, you're right. That's probably exactly why I can't do it. Good call. I better report it to Wizards. And there we go. We beat Blue-White even though we only had Tron for 1 turn. So we are currently 2-0, and that game really shown why Tron is favored against control. Especially Blue-White, they just don't put a good enough clock on you. And like our opponent mulliganed to exactly what they want against us, but we were on the play, and we didn't even do anything that broken. Like a Thrag Tusk on turn 3 is pretty good, but it's not like, oh my god, unbeatable. Our opponent had a chance that game, but they just don't pressure us enough to actually close a game out as Blue-White control. If it was something like Jeskai where they have, you know, Bolt Snap Bolt or Bolt Helix, things like that, that game may have been a little different, but then they have to play less Field of Ruins because their mana base is a little shakier, so on and so forth. Alrighty, we found our next opponent. We're going to wish them good luck and have fun, which I forgot to do with my last opponent, but, you know, we're chilling. This hand is not very good, so we're going to go ahead and mulligan. Our opponent's deciding if they're going to keep, and I'm going to take a second to look at this hand and think. What do you guys feel about this hand? We technically have 2 of 3 Tron pieces. This is a 6. What do you guys think? Do we keep or mull this hand? And if we keep, what do we put on bottom? Yeah, I kind of agree. I think this hand's kind of meh. I think with London Mulligan, we're pretty good to mull a 5 or 4. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and mull. I'm going to agree with you. Well, our 5 is much worse again. So we're keeping that trend going. Our opponent's tanking about their hand again. While my opponent tanks about their hand, let me mention our giveaway that's going on. We're giving away a box of Guilds of Ravnica right now. And the way that you can get entered in to win the box is by being a follower of our channel. Everyone who follows gets an entry into the box, and if you want extra chances at the giveaway, if you subscribe to us on Twitch, that's a giveaway, and if you donate to our Patreon, that's an extra giveaway. So you have an opportunity to earn up to 3 entries into our giveaways. And as you stay Patreon subscribers or followers, that does roll over into our next month's giveaway. Alright, and now our opponent decided they mulligan to 5, or they did not mulligan to 5, they kept, but we will mulligan to 4. And this hand's great. We're going to keep. We need 1, 2, 3, and then our 4th can be this forest, I think. So we got to put 3 cards on bottom. So we're going to put 1 on bottom, 2 on bottom. Oh, wait, no, because we need the map, duh. And 3 on bottom. No, my brain was just messed up, and I was thinking for some reason that we had an extra mana, or that we had an extra card we got to keep. Ooh, a Mox Opal deck. Is it Wurza or is it an Affinity deck? It looks like Hardened Scales. So we actually get to play out the finals a little bit here. Notably, the All Is Dust is pretty bad in this matchup, but our opponent's hand looks a little weak also. Karn is medium in this match. The threat we're really looking for is like Walking Ballista in this matchup, I'd say. Let's go ahead and pull up the deck here. Yeah, like Walking Ballista, maybe Wormcoil Engine. Oblivion Stone is also very good. Our opponent took Metallic Mimic. Oh my gosh. Ooh, that was a mistake. That's a bad mistake for us. I flipped over to talk about the deck and I totally just F6 through our turn. Well, that's awkward. What can I say? It wouldn't be a stream with me if I didn't make one punt somewhere. So I guess we'll play our Tron piece and pass. Yikes. Hopefully we don't just die now because of that. Super sorry about that again, chat. That was just honestly a big-ass mistake on my part. So this currently the Arcbound Ravager should have 1 less counter on it. And if we die here to this Inkmoth Nexus, it's totally my fucking fault. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I don't think we can die. But wow, that was bad. So the Ravager should have had one less counter on it. And we would have taken 2 less damage there. And we would be able to play a lot more things, so this might lose us the game. Notably, our opponent has no mana up, so I actually think just going ahead and exiling this Arcbound Ravager is the correct call. We're going to lose our Karn to this play, but it makes sure that we just don't die from like a Hardened Scales top deck or something. I'm cool taking like 5 or having our Karn just die. Ah, that's what it was. It was the bait. You're right. It was all strategic. Okay. So now we can actually F6. Wow. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, I totally just like... Because I didn't realize that the turn passed that fast. And like by the time I realized it was too late. Just moto things, you know. It wouldn't be a league with Richie T unless I punted at least half of it, right? That's how that works. Okay. Let's try to dig ourselves out of this with Ancient Stirrings. Okay. O Stone's not bad. We can't play and pop it this turn, though. I think it's still the correct call. Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, that's not what I want. Ooh. That card's pretty good here. This is a matchup where it's also pretty punishing that we don't have a Ghost Quarter in our 75. Being able to Ghost Quarter like the Inkmoth Nexuses is pretty strong and pretty important. Opponent's probably thinking about if the Thopters are more important than the extra Infect. I think if I were them, I'd just take the extra Infect damage here. Yeah. So we're going to go to combat. We're going to just attack for 6 here. If they choose to block, I'm fine with it. I just think the life might end up mattering here. Because we're like a Karn or something away. Oh, okay. That was actually really good by them. Very heads-up play on our opponent's part there. Alright, so here... I can't let them untap with this. We just have to pop it now. Because if I let them untap, we die to infect. Because they currently have 3 points that they can do with their lands in play. So we're really hoping to just draw something to get rid of this Inkmoth Nexus. Although it honestly might just be too late at this point. Passing that turn really cost us this game, unfortunately. But I mean, I'll admit I made a mistake. You know, things that wouldn't happen in paper but can happen on Moto. Hopefully we draw something good here. Damn. So, unfortunately, we're just dead to infect. We're going to move on to sideboard now. And hopefully I won't, you know, skip a turn and cost us the game. Emrakkul's actually worth the consideration here. All His Dust is definitely not good in this matchup. Thragtusk, I think, is a little cute. I like all of our artifact and enchantment hate, as well as warping whales. Not a big relic fan in this matchup. I think we can take out a sphere pretty easily. Do you think we want any Leyline of the Voids in this matchup? Leyline of the Voids stops all of their modular triggers, which is pretty relevant, I think. But I'm not sure if that alone is worth bringing them in, because they are like they're a dead draw essentially later on. Oh, Ugin's really bad in this matchup. Let's get Ugins out of here. I think the cuts I'm thinking are the... That's true. So what do you think the trims are? I can always see trimming another star. I actually think Thought-Knot Seer is probably worse. So we can do this, and then we just have 2 more cuts. Yeah, I agree. TKS seems pretty bad. We can always cut like Emrakul and then... Yeah, I could see a Karn actually. Actually, I think Karn's probably better than Wormcoil Engine. I think we'll trim a Wormcoil here. What do you guys think about trimming a Wormcoil instead of a Karn? Then we play Leylines. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not a good matchup for us. Hey guys, we got the Leyline we keep, right? This hand's obviously a mulligan. I don't actually think this hand will win us any games against them. Life gain's fine, but the problem is they have their infect kill. Same thing, I just don't see this hand winning us the game against them. Okay, I can see this hand doing work, though. Besides for that, they have a lot of ways to sack things, so that way we can't gain the life. Yeah. That's very true. So, we want this, and this. I think we put back a Nature's Claim and a Warping Whale. Just leave the castable cards in our hand. And maybe matchups like this are the reason why... are the reasons why you leave the Ghost Quarter in your deck still. Yeah, but I mean, I don't really think we can do much about that in general. Like, if they have the Damping Sphere and the Welding Jar, like, sure. That's why we want to exile their things anyways. I mean, I actively just don't even think this is a good matchup for us. We're going to grab a Forest here because it lets us Sylvan Scrying. I think Traditional Affinity is probably a better matchup. What's KGC out of curiosity? Oh, yeah. Karn makes this a lot better, but I think that ley lines are more important in the meta right now than Karn. Like, I think that there's a reason why the Pro Tour and the GP and the SCG were both won by Traditional Tron with no Great Creators. I do like Great Creator in this deck, and I think that once, which hopefully it will happen, so I'm going to say once we get a Hogak ban, I think we can go back to Great Creator's main, or just in general in this deck. But I really don't know if you can play Great Creator with how much land hate you really need in the meta right now. Or not land hate, but you know what I'm trying to say. Graveyard hate. That's the word I'm thinking of. So we take this one, which is fine. Ooh, a piece of candy. Bonk. Bonk. And bonk. Oh, of course they have another one. That's fine. We can always Warping Whale that one away. Ballista. Interesting. Oh, they did it so I just can't minus Karn. Got it. Start by plussing Karn on them. Ah, yes. Alting Karn. That is the play. What are we grabbing here? I think we're just grabbing the factory. We're going to start grinding them out by making 2/2s. We have this Warping Whale for if they try to pump Ballista or if they just attack. Alright, they just concede. Alright. I like popping the Blast Zone there because then they can't make another servo. What do you guys think about how we sideboarded? While you guys discuss, I'm actually going to go use the restroom really quick. Alright, chat, I am back. You do not alt Karn that often, that's for sure. And we think sideboarding's fine, so I am cool with resubmitting. Alright, going to game 3 against Hardened Scales. Where I'd punted away game 1. Hey Celestine, what's up? How you doing? Glad to see you in chat, man. Bringing those ice climbers along like always. I'm not doing too bad, you know. Playing some Magic after getting off work. How bad can it be? So this hand's interesting. We don't have Tron, but we have a Leyline with 2 Tron pieces and 2 redraws. 3 redraws, actually. What do you guys think about this hand? Do you think this hand's a keep in this matchup? Our opponent mulliganed. What do you think? Do you think 2 Tron pieces plus Leyline of the Void is enough to keep? Based off of. With 3 Chromatic Star / Sphere effects. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think this hand's actually a keep. Normally, especially with London Mulligan, I would not recommend keeping Tron without pretty much without being able to get to normal Tron, especially on 7. But in this case, I think it's worth keeping based off the Leyline of the Void. I think we essentially count the Leyline of the Void as a piece of Tron in this case. Alright, you can have your 1/1 for one opponent. Ooh. And there's a Sylvan Scrying for Tron next turn. You're right, it is an easy keep with my big Tron plays. Wait. Oh, did my opponent accidentally cast Ballista for 0? Oops. Well, on the bright side, then, we both have punted in our games. Okay, Warping Whirl's not bad. All the G's in chat. Tower Mine. We need the plant that gives us all the power. And that's what I call Tron. Yep, you can have yourself another 1/1 opponent. You can have as many grizzly bears as you would like. That's pretty good. Actually, no. I think casting the Worm Coil is just better here. It's like pretty much the same thing, actually. Alright, and just like that, we've earned our money back easy peasy. We are 3-0 currently with the Richie special, also known as Traditional Tron. So, this deck is feeling pretty great, that's for sure. Thoughts so far are, I'm pretty happy with the 75. Although I could potentially see making the, can we call that the Law of Richie? We can. I could see making the Seal of Primordium a Crucible of Worlds, and then playing a Ghost Quarter instead of the Urza's Factory. But I'm not 100% sure if that's correct or not. On top of that, I could also see maybe taking Thought-Knots out. But as you've seen against Blue-White, Thought-Knots here is just inherently good. We won the die roll. We're going to hit our opponent with a GLHF first. And then we'll admit that we would like to be on the play. And pretty easy not having a mulligan when you already have Tron in hand. So easy decision, easy life. Deck's missing 4 Tarmogoyfs. Shit, you're right. The Tarmogoyf Tron tech. Our opponent Beekeeper mulligans down to 6. Maybe they're playing the Bees deck, where you Blasphemous Act your whatever that card is that makes a bunch of bees. Hornet's Nest, I think. Oh, looks like we're facing the Gak. Good thing we got this relic. Our opponent had a pretty bad mill, so I think I want to set up for Tron before the Relic of Progenitus. Ooh. It's getting hot in here. So we don't actually have a good payoff for this matchup. So because we drew a second relic, I actually just like playing 2 relics here. It guarantees we get a good card out of our opponent's graveyard. And then next turn we can just get Tron and hold up double relic activation. Hornet's Nest. Two, three, four. So if this hits a Hogak, we actually get gacked here. Alright, they did not hit the Gak. Oh, they just have it in hand, though. Well, that's unfortunate. The worst part is even if we... I guess we could have used it on, like, 2 lands. But that just doesn't feel worth. Well, we're probably dead here, chat. I seriously just... I hope they ban this card. I think this deck is way too powerful for Modern. Like, this is way too consistent. This deck is also the reason why I have to play Leyline of the Void in my sideboard, and I hate it. So we're just going to play a Ballista for 1 and pass, probably blocking the Stitcher Supplier and then killing the Satyr Wayfinder. Sorry about that, I didn't get to the mute button fast enough. Being sick sucks, chat. Probably got sick from all this gackening. Alright, so we're going to move to blocks. We're going to block Stitcher Supplier. Then before damage, we're going to remove a counter and ping the Satyr Wayfinder. So we take 8 here down to 12. Then it becomes our turn. I think we're going to just pop one of these right now. Really need to find some action here. Okay. That buys us some time, right? No. 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, Stone isn't good enough, actually. Do I pop this other relic? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to pop this other relic and try to draw into a... Unfortunate. So... 8, 9, 10. We're dead to them having any creature. So I'm going to play out this Oath Stone and just hope that they don't have a creature in their hand or a Dryad Arbor in their deck. Yep, and that kills us. So, fun and interactive Magic. Let's get ready to sideboard here. I think we're not going to want the Emrakul in this matchup. All is dust. Seems kind of medium here. Thought-Knot Seers just seem way too slow. I don't really think we need Artifact or Enchantment Hate. I like Warping Whale in this matchup. I think we can trim like a star and a sphere. What do you think next, chat? Maybe the board wipes are better than I'm giving them credit for. Oh, I think Ballista is very bad in this matchup. What do you think's better, chat? I mean, Karn can get rid of like a Hogak. I'm thinking Karn's better than these Thrag Tusks. Like, what I'm thinking is we take out the Thrag Tusks and then probably like an All is Dust. Or actually the Thrag Tusk and then an O-Stone. What do you guys think about that? How do you feel about cutting Thrag Tusks and O-Stone? I think like Karn being in exile is actually like really relevant. Yeah, that's very true. Those effects are kind of a nombo with Leyline. Yeah, I can put a counter on it. So actually, I think that's merit to wanting O-Stone over All is Dust, actually. Thank you for bringing that point up, Kruk. I super appreciate it. Because I actually think being able to put the counter on it is worth it being like a turn slower. Yeah. I think this is what we're going to try. We would like to be on the play. So this is the awkward thing about this matchup. Like, this is why I hate Hogak. Do I keep this hand because it has a Leyline of the Void? Like, when I played Eldrazi Tron, I kept a one-lander with a map and a Leyline in hand. Like, do I have to keep this and just hope to find Tron off, like, my Stirrings and Sphere? Simply because I have a Leyline of the Void in this matchup? What do you guys think? Yeah, I mean, I think so too, and I hate it. Like, any deck that's ever played Hogak since it's been printed has literally made this form. Ever since Hogak's been printed, it's made this format feel like vintage. So take the Leyline out of this hand and replace it with any non-Tron land card, and I don't even think this hand's like a consideration. I think it's the easiest mulligan in the world if it doesn't have this in this matchup. That's actively like how bad I think you have to keep Graveyard Hate against this deck. And like if they destroy it, we're just dead anyways, but like we have to try, you know? They ditch Bloodghast land. We're going to go ahead, play a tower and a sphere. Yeah, I actually play a lot of TFT. I really enjoy that game. Third tower's a charm, right? Do they have the trophy? They might, but they're not playing it yet. What do you think, Austin? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's by far my favorite game like that. Like, I'm not a huge fan of any of the other ones. Like, I don't really like auto chess, but I really enjoy TFT. I think it's because TFT is, like, way more simplified than the other ones. And I also kind of really enjoy the carousel. Has anyone else in chat played any Teamfight Tactics, also known as TFT? They ditch Supplier, Gravecrawler. And they hit us for 2. Alright, well, let's try to find Tron, shall we? Yeah, I mean, the carousel's definitely tilting, but I mean, so's just playing an auto chess game. Like, there's a lot of skill involved, but there's also just a lot of luck involved. Interesting. They didn't blow up our ley line, but I'm curious what they kept in hand. Yeah, Aunt Faden. I also am. I like traditional League of Legends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're a turn away from just starting to hardcast things. I like traditional League, but I prefer playing traditional League with more people, where I really enjoy playing TFT a lot by myself. Okay. Luckily, it took him a while to find it, so next turn we just play a Worm Coil Engine, and hopefully we don't just die. Yep, loot away, opponent. Ditching Thug, Blackleaf Cliffs. Satyr Wayfinder. Double Vengevine. Yikes. Would really like a Graveyard Exile right now. That, in fact, does not exile graveyards, but we're going to hardcast one Wormy Boy. And yeah, like, this game's been a shit show, because I had to keep a hand with Leyline of the Void. And my opponent didn't keep a hand with an answer to it, so. Yeah, I actually hated TFT my first couple of games as well. It's one of those games where you hate until you, like, understand it. And then once you understand it, you actually, like, fall in love with the game. So this is our opponent through a Leyline of the Void, which is the crazy part. I've actually, not in traditional Tron, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not in traditional Tron, but in Eldrazi Tron, I didn't, but I thought about playing an Urborg for that reason. Yeah, I definitely wish it was more, like, always, like, League's items, but it's not, unfortunately. I don't think we can really attack. I think next turn we'll play this Ugin, and it'll win us the game. The other thing I've actually considered is playing Green-White Tron. I've seen someone did decently well at the Open with it. And, like, the biggest draw is you can actually cast Rest in Peace. To where, like, I can't cast this Leyline of the Void, but... Really? Oh, are they both going at Karn? That makes sense. So if they're both going at Karn, I'm actually not going to block, because I'd rather just exile them. So we're going to go ahead and -4. Alright, and we're going to game 3 against the Gaxter. Do you guys think we change anything about how we sideboarded being on the draw? Do you think anything we have is maybe better on the play? Like maybe the All Is Dust is better than the O-Stone? But I'm not even sure about that. Because I think most of our hands we're just going to end up mulliganing to Leyline of the Void anyways. But yeah, the green-white one, like, you get Blessed Alliance for, like, Infect and Burn, and you get rest in peace for the graveyard decks. But like you've seen in game 1, if our opponent's on the play, rep might just be too slow. So I think you'd probably... I don't even think, like... The problem with Hogak is it doesn't have... Like, you don't ever have a chance to really surgical with Hogak. So what do you guys think? Do we change anything up about the 60 that we're submitting? Or do you think we just resubmit in this matchup? Resubmit and get ready to try to find a Leyline of the Void the best that we can and hope our opponent doesn't have an answer. Well, yeah, there's no way to make clues in this deck, so how could you have one? We're not playing Tireless Tracker, you silly goose. What about you, Crucker Nate? What do you guys think? Do you think we just resubmit? Do you think maybe the All is Dust is better than something, or potentially even like having all of our spheres and stars? It's not very realistic, but they could give us a better chance to hardcast a Leyline if needed. I think we're just going to go ahead and resubmit. Resubmit and try to find our Leylines for game 3. Well, we did it, chat. So this hand is interesting. Our opponent mulliganed to 6. But we have 2 Tron pieces. We have the Leyline of the Void again. But this hand doesn't have anything that cycles. So do you think this is a keep? Or do you think we mulligan this? What's y'all's thoughts? Keep or mulligan? I'm leaning towards keep again, just because, like I said, I don't really think we can mulligan away a Leyline of the Void. But we also just might not do anything. I think I'm going to keep it and risk it. We only need 1 Tron piece off the top, or 1 way to make green mana. Yeah, I agree. Hey, Knock, how's it going? So our opponent ended up mulliganing to 5. And they cast a Gravecrawler on 1. Wouldn't that be the dream? So we're going to just lead on Power Plant pass. And our opponent's on, looks like they're on the shitter plan this game. They get in at us for 2. And, you know, it's a little late, but better late than never, as my mama taught me. We're going to go ahead and play this map. Our opponent's going to loot faithlessly for an answer to this Leyline of the Void. They ditch a Carrion Feeder and another Faithless looting. Our opponent gets us for 4 here. Much like the expert golfer they may be, they hit us with the 4. Alright, and we're going to crack this. I wonder what we get, chat. You know, I think we're going to get Urza's Tower. We unfortunately don't have anything to do, but we'll just pass it on back. Ooh. So our opponent decides they want to keep us off Tron opposed to having their graveyard. Interesting decision, opponent. So they're just going to try to give us the gets. So we're going to go ahead and Sylvan Scrying here for Tron again. Then we're going to play and crack this relic. And then we'll play and crack this star for a green. And we'll go ahead and play this map and pass. Oh, that's true. They did have no cards in hand. That's fair. Alright, so we go to 6 here. And then 3. And then we get to Ulamog away their creatures. Trigger, let's get rid of these two. Go ahead, opponent. And we did it! Alright, we're 4-0. We're playing for the 5-0. Let's go. Can we get a 5-0 with the Richie special? We've beaten some harder matchups in Hardened Scales Affinity and... Why do you think we should have taken out the Urza or the Overgrown Tomb out of curiosity? But we beat 3 harder matchups actually in the Mono Red Prowess deck, Hardened Scales, and then Hogak. And we beat an easier matchup in Blue-White Control. So here we go, playing for the 5-0, baby. Can we do it? Okay. I think the way we lose that game is like if they play another haste creature and we don't get to get enough blockers into play because they play like a carrion feeder or something. So I think exiling 2 creatures pretty much takes any of their outs out more than exiling the Overgrown Tomb. But I could be wrong. Because they could still play like Bloodghasts there. Alright, had to update the information. Decided to add the fact that we're playing for the 5-0 with the title. We're on the draw against Dark. Got to start with the GLHF. And I think this hand's a pretty easy mulligan to start. I think this hand's also a pretty easy mulligan. Our opponent kept their 7, and we're going to mulligan down to 5. But we have a very good 5 here. So we want 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seems pretty good to me. Put the stirrings in the forest on bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Vara My Foreskins, for the follow. Great name. I got a good chuckle out of it. And we're going to go Mind Sphere. Interested on what we're playing against. Maybe it's the Wurza deck, but I haven't seen them play basic planes a lot. Okay, so it is the Wurza deck. Interesting that they're registering planes. That means they're definitely playing the Teferis in the deck. So here, we're going to definitely just go ahead and grab Tron. We got Mine Tower, which means we need the plant that generates the power. I call that Tron. I've just turned it on. Anyone who's joining after I change the title to Playing for the 5-0, thank you all for joining us. If you're interested, we are doing a giveaway of a box of... We're doing a giveaway of a box of Guilds of Ravnica. In order to enter, all you have to do is give us a follow. And if you would like any extra entries into the giveaway, you can subscribe to us or donate to our Patreon for extra entries. So our opponent didn't really do anything. They passed the turn back to us. So we're going to complete Tron. We're going to go ahead and play this Vampire Legend, yeah. Then we're going to play a Relic of Progenitus. And then we shall exile a card from our opponent's graveyard. Get that Prismatic Vista out of here. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. So help me. Looks like a Whir of Inventions here, probably for the sword. So hopefully they don't have Urza in hand. If they have Urza, we unfortunately die. Oh, they go for 3. Interesting. Maybe just doing it for max value because there's... Why not at this point? They grab Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. Kind of unfortunate against our hand, but... That's okay. That means... Okay, there's the sword. So we're not getting Urza this turn, at least. Relic notably not that great in this matchup, actually, even though it seems like it would be. Because our opponent can get back their sword at instant speed, basically, by just sacking another artifact. So I think because of that, we're actually going to just pop this Relic here. And hopefully try to draw something to get us out of this right now. Alright. Forest actually does do it. Because Forest lets us cast this Sylvan Scrying. And we get to go ahead and grab this Blast Zone we're playing. So we unfortunately can't Blast Zone this turn. But we can play it next turn and eventually just put counters on it. Because unless our opponent draws Urza, our opponent doesn't actually kill that fast. The interesting decision here is, what do we blow the Blast Zone on? Do we blow it on 3 or do we blow it on 2? What do you guys think in chat? Do we take out the... Oh. Detention Sphere. That's an interesting one. Well, that makes our decision pretty... That makes our decision easier for sure. So we're going to just go ahead and stir the pot up first. because this little daddy also does the job we're looking for. So we Sanctum. We play ourselves Ula Daddy, as I like to call him. And, alright, we're up a game, baby! Alright, we just got to win one more game for that 5-0. So this is a matchup that I've generally found to be pretty positive for us here. Alright, what cards are not looking so hot against Urza? So I'm not a big fan of Walking Ballista, as they don't really have anything for us to ping away. All is thus surprisingly actually good against them because it clears away all their Thopters and their Foundries. Karn is good, Wormcoil's fine. I don't really think we want Thragtusk here. O-Stone seems great, and all of our enchantment hate seems great. Like I said before, Relic actually isn't good in this matchup, oddly enough. Because, again, they can just pay an extra mana and get that sword back. So I think we're going to go ahead and trim a Sphere and a Star on top of that. And then what do you guys think for the last 5 sideboard cards? I really like the Thought Knots. The Warping Whales actually seem... They're actually pretty good. They get rid of Urza now that I'm thinking about it. What do you guys think the last 5 cuts are? The cards I'm kind of thinking about are cutting like Leyline of the Voids maybe. Because I know I talked to Ray Perez and he said that the card's pretty medium in this matchup. I could also potentially see maybe Wormcoil Engine isn't that great because they typically just go above our head. Plus, as we've seen, they have Ensnaring Bridge. So what are your guys' thoughts? I'm interested. Hit me up with your opinions in chat. Sorry if you see me pausing, by the way. I'm still kind of sick right now, so I pause it that way I can cough and I don't blow out your guys' eardrums. I think we're going to go ahead and not bring in the ley lines and trim a Wormcoil Engine, I think is where I'm going to be at. Yeah, I think it's fine for turn 3. I could see maybe wanting ley lines over the Thought Knot Seers, but Wormcoil probably worse than TKS. I completely agree with that. I think we definitely want Wormcoil, or we want Thought Knot Seer over Wormcoil. I actually, like, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I don't want Leyline in this matchup. Because even though Leyline can be fine, it's one of those cards where if we see a hand with it, we really have to keep it. Because it's a card we can't actually cast in our 60 at that point. And I really don't want dead draws in this matchup. Alright, so as you see, this hand is a pretty straightforward mulligan. Just doesn't seem to do a whole lot. Our opponent kept their 7. So what's your guys' opinion on this? It'll basically be a 6. So we have 2 Nature's Claims, which are really good against them because they are an artifact-based deck. We have 2 Tron pieces. We have a redrawn Sphere, and we also have O-Stone. We do have to put a card on bottom, which I would probably put the Sphere on bottom because it's not actually necessary. Or I could see putting a Nature's Claim on bottom if we keep this. But I could also just see going to 5 and trying to find Tron. What's your guys' thoughts, chat? Keep or mole on this hand? Get me with all that delicious information. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think this hand's a keep. What do you think goes on bottom? Do you think the Sphere or the Claim? I'm kind of leaning towards putting a Sphere on bottom. Because Claim is very good. Do you agree with that, chat? Keep bottom Claim is what Nox says. So I'm definitely going to keep this hand. I think the way our plays are going to go, I'm actually going to agree with Knock on this one. I'm going to bottom the Claim. because we're going to go Sphere on 1, and then we can Nature's Claim with having Tron lands in play. Our opponent's hand seems pretty decent. Alright, Forest, not quite the land we want to draw here, but that's fine. That is kind of the risk of this hand, but we have O-Stone, so... Alright, so I think here, we're going to end up just cracking this for a green. Blast Zone's a really good draw. Then we're going to cast Ancient Stirrings to try to find another Tron piece, which we did. So we're going to take our tower here. We're going to put some pretty good cards on bottom, unfortunately. And then I think we're going to just go ahead and play this tower, as they can't really cast anything here. They can work for 0, but that's fine by me. If we need to, we can set up to have the Nature's Claim next turn. Alright, this is how we know if our opponent's ghosting or not. Alright, good on our opponent. Good job on you for not ghosting, opponent. Ooh. I could almost see taking the turn off to Ancient Stirrings again. What do you think? Do we play a Forest and Ancient Stirrings instead? Or do you think we just need to get this Power Plant and O-Stone in play? I could see them having an answer to this O-Stone, so I kind of... Yeah, I agree with Stir. Alrighty. Come here... Ugin? Or we could take the Karn and start strip mining them. Yeah, you know what? Come here, Karn. This means that our next turn play can just be Nature's Claim, the Pithing Needle, play Karn Liberated. And by that I mean play Oblivion Stone and pop Oblivion Stone. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop the O-Stone now because I don't want them to be able to whir for a... Woof. I did not expect that. Okay, opponent. I see you out there. So we're gonna get this construct off the battlefield. Yeah, I can honestly say I was not expecting a ceremonious rejection from our opponent there. That good tech on them. Looks like they might not be playing Grixis. They might actually just be blue-white. Okay, hopefully they don't combo us. Alright, does not look like they have the combo. Come on, Tron piece off the top. Yep, you got yourself another Urza. Okay. So we can Warping Wail Urza. Play the Karn. Oh, that was dumb. Totally didn't think about the pithing needle on Karn there, guys. So, look, I mean, I don't think it super matters. It was kind of awkward, but I think we're fine. 8, 9, 10. Cast the big Ulamog. And we did it, chat. We 5-0'd live on stream. I promised to dab to a lot of people when we 5-0. So, yeah. As I've said before, I'm really known for playing Tron. And I hope, even though I had a couple Moto misplays there, I hope it doesn't make you guys think differently. I've been on and off this deck for a long time. It's probably my favorite deck I've ever owned or played. I own it a good chunk in foil even. Thank you, Thank you anyone else that tuned in after seeing that I changed the title to Potential 5-0. As I've said before, if you guys just came in because you've seen that, can I please get a follow or a subscribe for the 5-0? I would super appreciate it. And it also gets you an entry into our giveaway to win a box of Guilds of Ravnica. Any follow gives you guys an entry, as well as if you subscribe or donate to our Patreon, that's an extra entry. Man, I'm super hype. I 5-0'd one other time for Mom's Basement, but it was off stream. And this is the first 5-0 on stream. For me anyways. I think Aaron may have had a 5-0, but you'd have to check out his videos for that. So, yeah, that's really awesome. As for the list, I enjoyed the list. The only thing I'm not 100% set on, and I could potentially see changing, is I could see the Seal of Primordium becoming a Crucible of Worlds. And if I did that, the Urza's Factory would become a Ghost Quarter. Other than that, though, I'm really happy with this 75. I've always been happy with the Emrakul over the second Ulamog. The All Is Dust and O-Stone split is just for humans. If you don't expect a lot of humans, I would definitely go for O-Stone. 3 Relic is... It felt fine. It was nice to have an extra cantrip. But it's also, like, still up for debate. It really depends on how important Relic is. Because as you've seen that game 1 against against Hogak Vine, we didn't even actually slow them down. So I could see that just being like a slot that we don't need. And in that case, I would probably main a Relic of Progenitus. As for the sideboard, I really enjoyed everything in the sideboard except for, like I said, maybe the Seal could become in a Crucible. I know a lot of people have been cutting Thought-Knot Seers recently, but Thought-Knot Seer just always feels great in these sideboards to me. So, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you all being here for this awesome day where I 5-0'd on stream with Tron. But I do have one thing before I hop off, and that's that I would like to remind you all to hop over to momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro.com for if you want to buy any singles. If you feel like playing Tron like I do, please hop over to Mom's Basement and buy what you can from them. On top of that, if you're interested in anything from our top sellers line that you can see right now, maybe you want to build Hogak as it was a deck that gave me the biggest problems. Or maybe you're looking for some standard feather stuff or even some ramp stuff with Llanowar Elves. Or you could potentially even cast some ops in Modern like our round 2 opponent did. Check out momsbasementgames.tcgplayerpro for all of those. If you guys are watching in the future on YouTube, thank you all for watching this awesome stream. I had a lot of fun, and it's always sweet to be able to give the community another 5-0 with a deck that I really love and is near and dear to my heart. But check down in that description box below for all the links that I'm going to be talking about here. If you're watching on YouTube in the future or on Twitch right now, thank you all. I super appreciate it. But you guys should check out our Twitch sometimes. And you should also give us a like on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at MomsBasementMTG so you know when I and all of our other wonderful streamers go live. On top of that, everyone on YouTube right now, thank you guys again. Please go check out on Twitch right now, please go check out our YouTube channel for the best standard, modern, legacy, vintage, pauper, and commander content, and where soon enough you may or may not find another 5.0 video on top of this one. If you guys really enjoyed me today, thank you, and I would super appreciate it if you gave me a follow on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @RichardTMTG. I talk Magic, League of Legends, TFT, memes, anything else you guys would like to talk about, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. It's also where you can find some funny photos like me dabbing on someone in the finals of a PPTQ 2 years ago, or me and a friend hanging out at a bar after having a few too many shots. If you're looking for any other form of social media to find us on, you can find Mom's Basement Games at Mom Basement Games on Instagram, or you can find me on Instagram at RichieT2196. Alright guys, but with that, I'm going to go pop the champagne bottles and celebrate this 5-0. So, everyone have yourselves a great night.